This is Beyond the Stage, presented in part by the People's Bank, Southern State Community College's Truck Driving Academy, and Greene County Career Center.
Amanda Hall, branch manager of the People's Bank in Hillsborough, Ohio. I'm happy to be serving Highland County with their financial needs and supporting the community. I'd love to have an opportunity to sit down with you and talk about your banking needs as well.
Beyond the Stage is made possible in part by Southern State Community College's Truck Driving Academy, where you can be behind the wheel of a big rig in as soon as 4 weeks. Call 937-393-3431 to find out how. And now, Beyond the Stage. Hello everyone, I'm Herb Day, and on this edition of Beyond the Stage, I'm going to be talking with one of my old radio friends, and I don't mean to say old, but I guess I can say take some liberties with that because we're about the same age, and we have a love for a number of common topics. One, radio; two, country music and bluegrass music. Anything that the traditional music, we're all about preserving it. And I'm talking about H.D. Ainsworth. H.D., it's good to see you, my brother.
Boy, it's good to see you too, Herb.
Now, H.D., you're on the air where?
Actually, the station is in Minden, Louisiana. That's along the I-20 corridor. It's actually considered by the federal government as a suburb of Shreveport, Louisiana, but I'm actually in a B&S Home Centers hardware store because it's 39 miles from Minden, and I was doing all-night patrol shifts. I'm a retired patrolman, and now I'm working on my second retirement, Herb. That woman I'm married to keeps me broke all the time. But I was working from 5 o'clock at night to 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was no way that I could drive that far. So the kindness of B&S Home Centers built a studio there for me and a window showcase. And there's a sidewalk kind of in the rough part of town in a little bit. And there's the big cars, trucks, and buses that go by, but that's where I do my daily radio show. Weirdos knock on the window and all of that. Some of them I arrested.
I was going to ask you if you had a live audience. So that's pretty cool. Before we go any further, I want to make mention of the fact you'll notice the dock we're sitting on and the pond behind us. We are at the Keepin Country Farm in Waynesville, Ohio. That's Richard Lynch's music spot in southwestern Ohio.
Keeping it country farm.
And you have been here at the farm for the past couple of days. You've been doing some broadcasting.
We were on the air, and I'm ever so proud. This is not the first time that you've been on the broadcast.
Right.
You've been on it down there at Wilder at 44 Lincoln Pike. But I'm seriously, my friend, honored. I'm a Herb Day fan.
Well,
and he's been in this business a lot longer than I have. And I think I'm maybe just a little bit older than you. I know I've worked harder in my life than you have.
Well, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, let me tell you, I've done just about everything. Farmed. I worked in a factory for a little while, but I was working construction. We were digging water lines.
Yeah.
And laying water lines for the county.
Right.
And I got called out one night it was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
The water line had broken, and guess who had to stand in that trench with water up to his waist? Me.
Old Herb Day.
So I turned to the guy that I worked for, and I said, now we're going to finish this job. And I said, that's going to be the last you see of me. So the next time you see me, I'll be on the radio.
I'm really surprised that both of you were sober enough to know what PVC pipe was on New Year's Eve.
I know it, and that's when PVC was kind of new. So that gives you an idea how long ago
I want to mention, if I may, the hospitality of Richard Lynch and Miss Donna. We got in here on, it was on a Thursday, hooked up the gear, and we did the broadcast under the patio we've been staying in the guest house, and they're just the sweetest, most sincere people.
They are good people.
Just
They
a
are.
beautiful place.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the farm up here. And, of course, I try to control myself because, if you get near Richard during hay season,
Which you
you're
weren't.
going to be baling hay with him. So you have to be careful of that. Not so much baling. That it's
Here's a
throwing
good
it
one
the
on
wagon.
Richard. He dug this pond and it was dry for 2 years.
Well,
mercy.
all things come to those who wait. I
That
guess.
is true. That is
But
true.
now, let's go back. How did you get into the radio business?
WHO Radio had a guy named Billy Cole. Mike Hoyer left and went to work for Buck Owens.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1974, my dad and I both listened to Billy Cole. They had a toll-free truckers hotline, and I called him one night. Thus, a friendship began. He was from Short Track, New York, and I was from Catahoula Parish, Louisiana, and we never fought the Civil War. Long story short, down through those years, I started driving tanker trucks, and I had a regular run going to H.B. Fuller Company hauling propylene, and I would stop off at 1801 Grand Avenue. And Herb, I'm not an intelligent guy, and I don't know, maybe
Well, having friends like me, I understand that.
but I didn't even know what Billy Cole was doing. He taught me the old trick with put these headphones on. Watch what I do. That record.
Yeah.
And he said, he was prepping me, and I thought, well, that's neat. I was too dumb to know what he was doing. They passed the Palmer family on WHO Radio
Now this was in Des Moines.
in Des Moines, Iowa,
Yeah.
50,000 watts overnight. So every now and then he would get me to read the news or the weather or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
thought,
with a
well,
voice like that,
I
my
still
goodness.
didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so the Palmer family said there'd be no more smoking. And when the first time I walked in that building, which was probably 1977, he gave me an invite to come by the studio. Everything was yellow from cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
So the Palmer family and Billy smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day, and it killed him. It finally killed him. And in the year 2007, I drove all the way to Des Moines, Iowa to speak eulogy at his funeral. But to answer your question, he was prepping me with things and training me on what to do. And he left me, he'd go outside and smoke. And I said, Billy, what if some of those people, the Palmer family, come? And when my name is HD, but it's Henry Don. And when he got serious and he would get aggravated with my insecurities, he would say, Donald, just do what I ask you to do. And so he was but I loved him dearly. We were the best of friends, we
Yeah.
were the closest of friends, and that gave me the bug
Yeah.
that I haven't shaken yet. I did a lot of small stuff, filling in stuff.
So
I
you
recorded
were
ads and
trucking
things.
then, weren't you?
I was
Okay.
driving a truck.
So tell me how then when you transferred over to radio, you gave up trucking.
Well, I was in that tank truck for a period of about 25 years, and I just became tired of it. I became tired of being out there every holiday, working hard. I had good health. I was blessed with good health, and I had a good dad. I wanted to have the kind of life other people had with time off, days off, holidays off.
Right.
And so I had my own big rig. I sold that, and it started out at KLGB in Longview, and that was a daytimer. And then KWK's radio in Shreveport gave me some work. I sold radio, and I'll have to say, lad, I got pretty lucky with that because I was driving for a tanker truck company after I sold my truck, and the guy wanted to hire drivers. There was a guy named Larry Scott, KWK's radio, and I sold an ad. That was large market AM radio.
Yeah, buddy.
And that spot ran for $30 a second.
Wow.
And he kept that. He played it 3 times a night. It was a minute and 30-second ad.
Yeah.
And he recorded it himself. And so he bought a Ford Power Stroke. I came there one night. He said, "What you think about that Ford Power Stroke out there?" He said, "I should have put part of your name on the title." And I said, "Why would you want to do that, Larry?" He said, "Because that ad almost paid for that truck. It put a nice down payment." So I did pretty well in that. Billy Cole told me there's one thing that you can do to get in radio, even if you're not a radio guy, even if you don't have a radio voice. If you can sell radio, you can be on the radio. And I've never forgotten that. You know that.
That's exactly right, because nothing happens until something sells. It took me a long time to figure that out.
Well, it's been with me, and Billy Cole taught me some things on radio that I still use today. And he was my hero. Not very many people get to work with a hero. I met Billy Parker. That was an Ernest Texas troubadour. We're close. And by the way, Herb, I'm on page 259 in that book that Billy wrote. Thanks a lot.
Well, that reminds me, you are an award-winning disc jockey. Tell me about your awards.
Well, it kind of started out slow, but the very first award I won with KTKC, a large FM, after I married my wife. We've been married 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that I worked for was a great guy. He had radio stations in Texas, Hunt Broadcasting. And so he wanted to sell that station, and a Spanish preacher down in Nacogdoches, Texas, bought the tower. So I stayed there 4 months till that check cleared.
Yeah.
But I put some feelers out, and I had my own ad power. I had my own ads. Those customers, Red River Chevrolet, BNS Home Centers, I'm so thankful for them. They put me in that studio. But to answer your question, all of those years, if you're in radio, you're going to get the station's going to get bought out, and you better have some ad power, because I went to him with my ads.
Right.
And some of those people have been with me for close to, well, I'll be 7 years with KBEF radio if I'm alive next Friday.
Well, congratulations.
I thank the good Lord above. I thank people like Herb Day, myself, and a lot of other people. We loved the radio as small boys.
Yeah.
And we grew into it. It doesn't happen overnight. I did a lot of gigs, filling in gigs, and I did a lot of live radio remotes. And Herb, my boy, I had a lot of fun doing live radio remotes.
Oh, I know. And you're still doing that. You're traveling all over the country doing just what you've been doing here at the Keepin Country Farm.
I've got an invite to come up here, and I'm so glad that I did, because, again, these folks love country music. You and I love country music, and we play the kind of country music that is keeping it alive.
Yeah.
And so, Herb Day's show, you got a great show.
Well,
I was listening to you. I'm a deputy marshal now.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you, and some old girl stole something out of the dollar store. Just about the time I was listening to Herb Day, Red, White, Blue Radio. and Herb was about to play a song by Paycheck. And when you know it, I get a call, go to the dollar store, grab something right out of the store. I don't know, she stole a bar of soap or something, but she probably never used it.
She probably knew somebody who would. Well, yeah, I think I remember I played old violin.
Best song you ever had. Did he write that?
I
think maybe
I'd
he
like
did.
to say that he did, but I can't swear to it. I try to visualize the record, and people go, "What are records?" But anymore they're good averages. But they're CDs and MP3s anymore. But I don't know. I'll have to. You piqued my curiosity. I'll have to do that. And speaking of advertisers and all that, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. And I want you to follow up on those awards, because that's quite interesting. We'll be right back with Beyond the Stage in just a moment.
Beyond the Stage is sponsored in part by Greene County Career Center's Peace Officer Basic Training Academy. Training for the state of Ohio's certification exam begins soon. So call 937-372-6941 or check us out on the web.
On the stage, once again, my guest is HD Ainsworth. He is an award-winning disc jockey from KBEF-FM in Minden, Louisiana. It's a suburb of Shreveport, Louisiana, and the beautiful South.
Yes, it is.
We talked about your awards. We kind of got sidetracked a little bit there, but tell me about those awards right now.
Well, the first award was a civic award. The entire town was losing its radio station, and the Mardi Gras is big down there. So the Mardi Gras people would have me hired to be the door announcer, and I'd have a pistol in my boot, and I was getting 2 checks, because if they served alcohol, they had to have a police officer there.
Yeah.
And so the town, the little studio was small, but there was a lot of sadness. People said, "Can't we just build a tower of our own, and can't we do something?"
Yeah.
They didn't know anything about radio or the FCC. They didn't even know what it stood for.
Right.
So they gave me an award there. And I thought about what's going to be the last song. I had been there for almost 7 years there. I thought, what's going to be the last song? And I thought about my other friend who's still alive today, and by the way, he and Billy Cole were the best of friends. They talk daily. But Billy Parker and Darryl McCall did that song, Who's Gonna Sing the Last Country Song? So
Darryl McCall.
KTKC radio, 48,000 watts FM, went off there for Last Country Song. So they put that on there. HD Ainsworth played the last country song on KTKC radio.
About that.
So I had a copy of it sent up to Billy Parker. I got those people that made that award up there.
Yeah.
And he's got it on his mantle along with his DJ Hall of Fame and all of that.
Fantastic.
And then the Countdown Society of Western Music, it's got KBEF radio on that side.
Yeah.
HD Ainsworth on that side.
Oh, that's
and a
sweet.
microphone.
Hold it up to the camera. I don't know if it's going to be.
Well, I'll get
seen
up
that
there
well.
close enough where
There
they can
you
see
go.
that. Yeah.
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 Now that's
You notice how shameless I am?
Now, the only way that you can get classier than that is, I think of the ring that Elvis had, and is at Graceland in the museum right now. They'll let you look at it, but they won't let you touch it. So, I get to touch that.
That's the Cowtown Society of Western Music, and they're in Mineral Wells, Texas. And in 2019, disc jockey of the year, but in 2018, when I went to work for KBEF Radio, the radio station got a Will Rogers award. So my wife said, "You're crazy. Why don't you leave that in the lobby?" I said, "Well, it's for the radio station. I'm not the only person working there." But that award, and I guess the next one was, I won the Josie Award on the stage of the Opry. I can't say enough good about Josie on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
But the guy told Josie, no one is to stand in that circle. The next year, the very next year, I won Radio Personality of the Year. Josie told those people, now think about it, the largest country music venue, they lease it out. Josie said, we're going to stand in that circle with what I'm paying. We're standing in that circle.
Well, good for her.
So we got to stand in that circle. And
Yeah,
so
good for
we got
you.
Radio Personality of the Year. And then up in Lubbock, Texas, the CMA of Texas, Herb, you've done this, we all have. Somebody that helped me, if they've got a son or a daughter or a cousin or a nephew or whatever in it, you try to help them. So Larry Scott was very kind to me at KWKH. His son, Kelly Scott, we did 2 live radio shows right off of Bully Holly Boulevard in Lubbock. And so he was with me doing the radio show. So he and I both emceed 2 award shows because COVID had shut the year before the show down. So we got that award, and then the next one would be the CMA of Texas Disc Jockey of the Year. So those awards, and look, I'm a shameless guy because Miss Herb Day over here is doing a great job too.
I was hoping you were going to tell this. Go ahead.
So there's a big glass thing. My wife calls it a curio, and it's got a light inside it. So all of those awards are in there. And the CMA of Texas and the I left one out. I'm a member of the Western Swing Music Society of the Southwest Hall of Fame. They put me in their Hall of Fame. You get a letter from Greg Abbott and a letter from the governor of Oklahoma too there. But they're all in that cabinet, so my wife gets angry about it. So we don't have a lot of company, but if they come in, I make sure they sit right here, and I'll flip that light on there before they get there. And if they don't look at that, if they're busy talking to her, I'll knock on the wall and they'll turn and look at it. And even the T-shirt, I think, that I gave you, it's got the awards on. I'm shameless. I am.
I was gonna wear that today, and I forgot all about it. Got out of the house before I could think of it. But
My wife says, "You're so stupid. Put that on the back of you."
you talk about your wife. What's your wife's name?
Sharon
Sharon.
Lynn.
We were talking yesterday on the air, and about we all married up. And my wife, Patty, and she's with us today also. And I definitely married up, but I just don't make it a point to say that a lot because they get the big head and they start taking advantage of you. And
mine tries to tell me, "You shouldn't play that." I reply, "Get your own radio show."
Now, does Sharon get up by that time of the morning and listen to you every morning?
She's up listening, and she listens to try to, or whenever I walk in the door, she can hit me. "Who is that you were talking about?" All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever try to force her to become a country music fan. She liked that kid stuff country.
Yeah.
And now she has on her own. I remember my proud moment. I'd been on there for probably 3 years where I am now. Like I said, we're coming up on a 7-year anniversary. She calls me. Who was that did that last song? Vernon Oxford.
Yeah.
And I thought, she's asking
Over
for
the
Vernon
shadows.
Oxford. I got him made. I coast now downhill.
Vernon Oxford had one called Only the Shadows Know.
Oh, man. He
Oh,
was great.
what a song.
He was great. Country. He had that country voice.
You know, there's just nothing better. Just nothing better. You know, what some people make fun of just makes my heart cry, you know, because I just love it. Just do. So, do you see yourself doing this for the next 100 years? Or?
Well, I'm 70, and I had open heart surgery, and I'm still wearing a gun at work. I'm able to stay fit so far. The Lord's blessed me. The Lord blessed me with my wife, and I like to give her a hard time, and I pick on her way too much. But I'll have to say, if it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't be in radio today,
Yeah.
because I put some roots down. Things just meant to be. They worked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's tough to do an all-night patrol shift like I did all those years with Spring Hill PD. You know, I would go to work at 5 o'clock in the evening. We dealt with they had a lot of substance abuse, a lot of marijuana, a lot of crack cocaine,
Yeah.
methamphetamines, just like any other town of that size would have. And we worked crashes. We took care of domestic calls. Every call there was. My sergeant's name was Rex Morris.
Yeah.
And he was a great guy. He was 10 years younger than me, but he was 20 years wiser than I was. He'd been a police officer longer than I had. But
Well, now you're still running patrol too.
I'm still running patrol. I'm actually a deputy marshal now. There's a lot of difference in the patrol work, but I'm a deputy marshal, District 1 and 2. I'll put that up there. Here I am. I'm shameless, flashing my badge.
You in a heap of trouble, boy. I think as
worked
Kenny
for
Price used to say.
Kenny Price
Yeah.
was
But now,
great.
dude, how's it feel? Have you ever had to arrest someone who listens to your show?
Actually, I did.
Did you?
And I didn't know them, but he had a small amount of marijuana. And to show you what they've done to marijuana, I'm not trying to bring politics into this, but used to, the fine was $1,250 if you got caught with it.
Yeah.
Well, the people, I won't get into the politics, I'll pass all of that. I don't want to get nobody jammed up. But it went from $1,200 to $900, from $900 to $700 to $350, and now you can't arrest him. You just got to ride with some. It's like it's a speeding ticket. But one night I arrested an old boy, and he said, "HD, I listened to you on radio," and I thought at this point we already had body cams.
Yeah.
Now, if we hadn't had that body cam, I'd have said, "Shut up, stupid, you're still under arrest." But I had to think carefully. I said, "Well, thank you very much. That's all I can think to say."
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so you have to do what you got to
Yeah.
do, you know.
Well, HD, you're a gem. I thank you so much for your friendship. I thank you for involving me in your travels and your adventures, and I thank you for sharing your adventures with me here on Beyond the Stage.
Brother, you seriously are one of my radio heroes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
you,
it.
brother.
HD Ainsworth from KBEF-FM in Minden, Louisiana, here on Beyond the Stage. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for watching Beyond the Stage. If you enjoy what you see here, please click like at the bottom of your screen and subscribe to my channel. For more of your favorite country music and the men and women who make it great, I hope you'll visit us often here on Beyond the Stage.